these pressures as a function of time. I'm going to show you in the black line the airway pressure. That just means the pressure at my mouth right now. The red line, which is the alveolar pressure, the pressure in my alveoli in the lung. And the blue lower pressure is the pleural pressure, the pressure in my pleural space. And to illustrate how those are different and why they're different, I'm going to put this patient on a mechanical ventilator. And he is now on a breathing machine. And now if we look at the airway pressure, notice that with every breath that black line is going up. That's because now the ventilator is working as a pump to create pressure to push air into me, and only then does my alveolar pressure, the red line, begin to rise. And because I'm not exerting any effort anymore, my pleural pressure, the pressure in my pleural space, rises as the lungs are made bigger and push on the chest wall. Back to interconnectedness, you predicted what was going to happen to the heart, right? If we fill up the lungs more than they're usually filled, it's going to squeeze the heart. The heart's going to get smaller, isn't it? And you saw it happen. The left ventricular end diastolic volume fell, and the blood pressure fell. The heart and lungs affect each other in ways which are inextricably tied to each other, and ways which in the real life of medicine are important. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create some asthma. I'm going to tighten the airways, and I'm going to make it harder to get air in and out of these lungs. And you should think about what that's going to do to the pressure that the ventilator has to generate to push air into these lungs. So as I create asthma, you can already see the pressure here is now having to rise higher. You see that? It was this low, now it's higher. There are other more subtle things happening too. But look at the shape of that when I go back to no asthma. By the shape of that, what I mean is look how quickly the alveolar pressure falls back to the baseline value of the airway pressure. In other words, the lung empties pretty quickly. But watch again as I create asthma. The alveoli empty more slowly, more gradually. Their emptying is impaired. You see that? In fact, the alveolar pressure at the end of the breath is still a little bit higher than the pressure at my mouth or the pressure here in the breathing tube. Not recognizing the physiology and not understanding this interaction between respiratory and cardiovascular systems. With my breathing machine, I'm going to squeeze the heart smaller and smaller and smaller. And as I look at that, and if I were to display the heart rate with the blood pressure falling, you know what's happening to the heart rate, right? This patient is starting to scream. This patient is headed towards death. And if we don't recognize the physiology, if we don't undo something of what we're doing, the heart